So I think this is the first Vblog that I'll be doing of several over the next few months. So I realise that online there's been a little bit of confusion about what we're up to at Ashton House Music Co. Now, so let's backtrack and use this opportunity to give a little bit of background. So Ashton House Music Co. is essentially set up to represent both my own music and the music that I do with the Church Network Ministry Band. Now, that's another thing in itself that we'll go into maybe in a later edition. But for now, let's focus on the general overview, which is Ashton House Music Co. So formerly, it was known under a different name, and that was jtamusic.com or JTA Music Australia. Now, formerly, it was a website that I owned and operated with some help from a few friends in regard to web hosting, but I owned the domain name and so forth, and got it all hooked up, and it was a way of being able to distribute my albums free of charge to the listener without the listener having to shell out, basically. And the heart was about getting the message across. It was about reach and for the music to be accessible to whoever needed to hear it. Now, sometimes on a practical level, as an artist or even as a human being, we can't always sustain these things ourselves. And for various reasons, I chose to shut it down in 2012. And after that, we pretty much archived the albums until 2014 or late 2013, when we took a chance on a public distribution platform that didn't necessarily pay out that well. In terms of, it was easy enough to set up, it was easy enough to get our stuff on there and whatever else, but one thing was, it was hard to find for search engines. And in terms of it being user-friendly, from the feedback that we got, it just wasn't accessible. Like people couldn't get the tracks. Even the free albums that were on there, the people couldn't get to them. So we had a dilemma there. And we've kind of spent about 7-8 years kind of regrouping, getting ready for, I guess, another push into online distribution in particular. We've still been handling physical manufacturing ourselves. And it's pretty much per request through our Facebook pages and whatever else. That it's always been freely available for people to request albums or whatever. But yeah, so we've had limitations on our reach and distribution abilities for some time. So last year, so 2019, we decided that the masters for the albums could be in better shape. There were some consistency errors in them. And so what I did personally was I did an in-house project in the earlier part of the year, which was basically just tracks basically that were being cut to enable us internally to teach any people coming through the ministry band songs that we'd be doing outside of our normal scope. So that where we might have a particular arrangement for them, but they're not intended for public distribution. So, and some of these songs there's no recordings of, like produced recordings. It's just we happen to know them because we were a part of that fellowship or that circle of acquaintances. And so, yeah, so we did that project. And then what I did was I got into the recording masters for certain songs from, in particular, 2010 to up to last year, so 2019. So pretty much an overview of the last decade. Certain songs where there were issues in the quality, and we have to be honest about that. There were sync issues and whatever else. Some things in the setup weren't in time. Weren't set in true time. Let's just say that. And so it sounds okay, but so if you want to go and remix it, it just wasn't set up correctly. So what we did was went in, reset the elements we were keeping, and basically started from scratch using those elements. So on certain tracks, we kept drums. We had to realign some drum tracks and fiddle with it a bit. And we kept some bass tracks, some lead guitar tracks, but things like acoustic guitar, vocals, all that sort of stuff, just totally redid them. So built them back up from the ground floor, pretty much. And so we've pretty much done a full album of that. So it's all remixes and in a couple of cases redos. Total redos, so we started from scratch. And there's a previously unreleased track on it in that song pool as well. That's taken about 14 years, to be honest, to get back up or to get up to a finished form. So this process has been building for a long time. And what we've now felt through this time, as we're getting closer to looking to relaunch this material, and bearing in mind that we've got new material set pretty much for next year, the earlier part of next year. So we're working towards releasing brand new material at the same time that all this is happening. And we've known that for a little while. So what we've got now is a program for the rest of this year, for 2020, where we'll have 3 albums of background material coming out. So pretty much The Truth of God and Man is being released in its entirety but modified. So a couple of tracks have been omitted, a couple of tracks from the session folders have been included. These are there's a particular tonal texture to this album that behaves very much like an analog record. And so what we've needed to do with it was make sure that the quality was there. There were some things that were revealed in the mastering process this time that we didn't know about previously. And so it's meant that some tracks have been juggled. So we've got The Truth, God and Man being re-released. And then we've got 2 albums that are pretty much an overview of the last decade. So the first album is pretty much straight up tracks as they were when they were first released. And the second album will be remixes and recuts and the previously unreleased track. And then that will lead us into 2021 when we release really what will be the first new album to major distribution services. Okay, so hopefully that helps to clarify some things about what we're doing, and we'll try and fill in some more information and things like that, other tidbits, as we go along. Okay, thanks for your time.